There's a question I want you to sit with for a moment. Not answer, just sit with. If your child were asked tomorrow to describe you in 3 words, what would they say? And here is the harder question. Are those the 3 words you would choose for yourself? This is Chris, 44 years old, Denver, Colorado. Chris is the kind of man other men point to when they talk about success. Regional sales director, corner office on the 14th floor, a house in a good neighborhood with a 3-car garage and a yard the neighbors always compliment. He has 2 kids, Avery, who is 15, and Noah, who is 11. Chris knows their ages, he knows their schools, he knows the broad strokes of their lives. What he does not know is that Avery has been struggling with anxiety for 8 months, that Noah's favorite subject changed from math to art sometime last year, that both of them, independently, have started telling their mother about the things that matter to them instead of him. Not because they do not love their father, but because they have learned, in the quiet way children learn things, that dad is there, but not really there, and some things are too important to share with someone who is only half listening. It was a Saturday morning in October that broke something open in Chris. Noah had a soccer game, the kind of game Chris had promised to attend, written in the calendar, set a reminder. But a client called Friday afternoon with a problem that became a conference call, that became a Saturday morning fire drill. Chris sent a text to his wife, Dana. "Tell Noah I'll catch the next one." He missed the game. That evening, he found Noah in his room. "Hey bud, I'm sorry about today. Big stuff came up at work." Noah looked at him and said something Chris would not forget for a long time. He said, "It's okay, Dad. I'm used to it." Not angry, not dramatic, just matter of fact, the way a child states a truth they have already made their peace with. "I'm used to it." Chris stood in the doorway of his son's room for a moment, then said goodnight and went downstairs and sat in the kitchen alone for a very long time, because nothing in 11 years of parenting had landed the way those 4 words did. I'm used to it. I want to be honest with you here, because I think this part matters. Chris did not have a dramatic revelation. He did not quit his job on Monday. He did not show up to Noah's next game with a changed heart and a clean slate. What he had was a conversation with Dana that Sunday evening, the kind of conversation they had been postponing for approximately 3 years. Dana did not attack him. She was tired of attacking. She simply told him the truth. She said, "The kids have stopped bringing you the important stuff, not because they're angry at you, but because they do not want to compete with your phone for your attention, and they have figured out they will lose." Chris listened, really listened, for maybe the first time in a long time. And then he asked the question he should have asked years earlier. What do I do differently starting now? Dana looked at him and said, "Start by being curious about who they actually are, not who you expect them to be, who they are right now, today." Chris told me later that the image that stayed with him was not a memory, it was something he noticed one morning in the kitchen. The clock on the wall. He could see the second hand moving, clearly, steadily. He could see the minute hand if he watched it long enough, but the hour hand appeared perfectly still. You never catch it moving, and yet when you look away and look back, it has gone somewhere you did not see it go. That is what childhood looks like from the inside of a busy life. The days feel still, the years move without asking permission. Avery was 7 when Chris made junior director. She is 15 now. He got the promotion. He also missed the 8 years in between in a way that no promotion can go back and fill. I think about this sometimes, not just for parents, for all of us. The hour hand is always moving. We just forget to look. Over the following months, Chris made changes, not grand gestures, small, deliberate shifts that had nothing to do with working less and everything to do with being more present in the time that was already there. The first phase, replace presence with attention. Chris had confused being home with being present. He was home most evenings.
He was also on his phone, thinking about the next day, half watching whatever was on TV. His body was there, he wasn't. He started an experiment. 1 hour each evening, phone in another room. Not a family activity, not a planned conversation, just available. Physically and mentally in the same place. The first week it felt strange. The second week, Noah started talking more. Not about anything important, just talking, the way kids do when they're not competing for your attention. The second phase, ask better questions. Chris had been asking the wrong questions for years. How was school? How was practice? Did you eat? Questions that required no real answer and got none. Dana had told him to be curious about who the kids actually are, so he tried. He asked Avery what part of her day she would change if she could. He asked Noah to explain something about art that he, Chris, would not understand. He asked questions he did not know the answers to, and then stayed quiet long enough to actually hear the response. What he learned about his children in the next 3 months was more than he had learned in the previous 3 years. The third phase, protect the small moments, not just the big ones. Chris had been showing up for milestones, birthdays, graduations, the important games. He thought that was enough. But here is what I have come to believe, and what the research consistently shows. Children do not build their relationship with you on the milestone days. They build it in the car on the way to school, at the kitchen table on a Tuesday night, in the 30 seconds before they fall asleep, when they will sometimes say the truest thing they have thought all day. The milestones matter, but the ordinary moments are where the relationship actually lives. The fourth phase, let them see you as a person, not just a provider. Chris had kept his work stress, his doubts, his hard days mostly hidden from the kids. He thought he was protecting them. Dana suggested he was actually making himself a stranger. He started sharing small things, a difficult meeting, a decision he was uncertain about, not to burden them, but to let them see that their father was a human being who did not have everything figured out. Avery, who had been quiet around him for months, started asking follow-up questions. What did you decide? How did it go? She wasn't interested in his success, she was interested in him. And the moment he became someone she could actually see, she started letting him see her too. The fifth phase, define what enough looks like at work and defend it. This was the hardest one, not the most emotional, the most practical, and therefore the one that required the most discipline to maintain. Chris sat down and identified 3 work boundaries he would hold. No calls after 7 in the evening. Saturday mornings were not available. 1 week of vacation per year where the laptop stayed home. Not radical, not career-ending, just lines he decided to draw and then actually drew. He missed 1 call, apologized, rescheduled. Nothing collapsed. The world, it turned out, did not require his constant availability nearly as much as he had believed. 11 months after that Saturday game, Chris is still the regional sales director, still the corner office, still the house the neighbors compliment. But something shifted in a way you cannot see from the outside. Avery told him about the anxiety on a Wednesday evening in February, just the 2 of them at the kitchen table. She told him because he asked the right question at the right time and then did not immediately try to fix it. He just listened. Noah showed him a painting last month, one he'd been working on for weeks, and stood there waiting for his father's response in the way that children wait when it actually matters to them. Chris looked at it for a long time, asked what it was about, listened to the full answer. Noah beamed. These are not dramatic moments. They are ordinary moments, but Chris will tell you they're the ones he will remember. Not the promotions, not the quarters he closed. The painting, the kitchen table, the Wednesday evening when his daughter decided he was someone she could tell the truth to. The hour hand is moving right now. It was moving while you watched this video. It will keep moving regardless of what you do next. The question is not whether time passes, it is what you are present for while it does. I don't think most people choose to miss their lives. I think they get busy, and then they get used to busy, and then one day a child says, "It's okay, I'm used to it," and something finally becomes impossible to ignore. You don't have to wait for that moment. The clock is on the wall. You can see the hands moving if you choose to look. If something in this story felt like a mirror today, drop the word "present" in the comments. And if someone you know is in danger of missing something they cannot get back, send them this. Mindshift Tales. Shift your mind. Change your life.